Olivia Martinez stared at her screen, mouth slightly open. The data couldn't be right. She ran the scan again. The same energy signature appeared, pulsing deep beneath the lunar surface where nothing should exist. "Alan, you need to see this," she called across the NASA monitoring station. Alan Brooks sighed as he walked over. Olivia had a reputation for excitement over small anomalies. The lunar mapping project wasn't meant to find anything new. The moon had been studied for decades. "What am I looking at?" he asked, leaning over her shoulder. "Energy readings from inside the moon, about 20 miles beneath the surface on the far side." Alan frowned. "Equipment malfunction." "I checked 3 times with different systems," Olivia said. "Something is generating power down there. Something big." Within 48 hours, their discovery had reached the highest levels of NASA. Within a week, a mission was planned. Olivia fought to be included and won. 3 months later, she stood on the lunar surface alongside Peter Daniels, an archaeologist who specialized in impossible finds, and Samantha Green, an engineer who had designed half the equipment they carried. "I still think bringing an archaeologist to the moon is weird," Samantha said as they unloaded the drilling equipment from the lander. Peter smiled inside his helmet. "If there's something artificial down there, you'll thank me later." The 3 scientists, along with 2 NASA pilots who remained with the lander, made up the entire team. The world didn't know about their true mission yet. Official channels called it a standard geological survey. They set up the drilling equipment over the exact spot where Olivia had detected the energy signature. The specialized drill cut through the lunar rock faster than any previous technology. Even so, it took 3 days to reach their target depth. On the 4th day, the drill broke through into an empty space. Samantha lowered a camera into the hole. "Holy," she whispered as the images appeared on their screens. Below them stretched an enormous chamber, perfectly spherical, with walls made of a smooth, black material that reflected their camera light like polished glass. The chamber was easily half a mile across. "That's not natural," Peter said quietly. They widened the hole and descended into the chamber using specialized climbing gear. Their lights barely penetrated the vast darkness. The floor beneath them was the same black material as the walls, unmarked by dust despite its apparent age. "The energy signature is stronger here," Olivia said, checking her instruments. "It's coming from deeper still." As they walked toward the center of the chamber, lights began to appear along the floor, creating a path. The team froze. "It's responding to our presence," Peter whispered. Samantha checked her radiation meters. Nothing dangerous detected. The light seemed to be embedded in the material itself. They followed the light path slowly. It led to the center of the chamber where the floor suddenly opened, revealing a spiral staircase descending deeper into the moon. "We should contact Earth first," Alan said through their comm system from the lander above. "There's some interference," Olivia replied, checking her equipment. "I can't get a clear signal." "Then we should return to the lander," Alan insisted. Peter was already starting down the stairs. "We came to make discoveries, Alan. I'm making them." The 3 scientists descended the staircase, which seemed to generate more light as they went deeper. After 5 minutes of walking, they entered another chamber, smaller than the first, but filled with what appeared to be technology. Curved panels lined the walls, and in the center stood a raised platform with a single pedestal. "This architecture," Peter said, moving closer to examine the walls, "it doesn't match any human design philosophy. The ergonomics are wrong, but it feels somehow familiar." Samantha approached one of the wall panels. As she drew near, it lit up with symbols that flowed and changed. "It's reacting to me." "To all of us," Olivia corrected. She pointed to other panels around the room that had also activated. "Look at the pattern of the response. It's spreading outward from our positions." Peter approached the central pedestal. "There's a depression here, hand-shaped or close enough." "Don't touch anything," Samantha warned. "We have no idea what we're dealing with." Peter nodded but continued examining the pedestal. "This place has to be billions of years old. It predates Earth's formation based on what we know about the moon's age, but it looks new." Olivia's instruments beeped urgently. "The energy levels are increasing. Something is happening whether we touch it or not. The symbols on the wall panels moved faster, flowing like water toward the central pedestal. A soft humming filled the chamber, vibrating through their boots. "I think it's scanning us," Samantha said, watching as a beam of light passed over her suit. The pedestal began to glow. The hand-shaped depression filled with light. "We should leave," Olivia said, suddenly nervous. Before they could move, the light from the pedestal shot upward, forming a holographic display above it. The image showed their solar system, each planet perfectly rendered and moving in its orbit. Then the image zoomed in on Earth, rotating slowly. "It knows where we're from," Peter whispered. A series of new symbols appeared around Earth's image. They shifted and changed until suddenly they weren't symbols anymore but English letters. "Compatible genetic sequence detected," Samantha read aloud. "Activation protocols initiated." The chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "What did we do?" Olivia gasped, grabbing the wall for support. "Nothing," Peter said. "It did this on its own. It was waiting for us." The hologram changed again, showing the moon itself. Before their eyes, the image of the moon began to transform, its surface shifting to reveal massive structures hidden beneath. Their comm systems suddenly crackled to life. Alan's voice came through, filled with panic. "Get back here now. Something's happening to the moon. The surface is changing." The three scientists rushed back to the staircase. As they climbed, the vibrations grew stronger. By the time they reached the surface hours later, exhausted from climbing in their suits, they emerged to an entirely different world. The lunar landscape had transformed. Massive structures had risen from beneath the surface, towers and domes of the same black material they'd seen below. The horizon was now filled with technology that had been hidden for billions of years. And on their comms, beyond Alan's voice, they could hear the chaos from Earth. Every space agency, every observatory, every person with a telescope was watching, as humanity's moon revealed its true nature. Far across the galaxy, on planets orbiting distant stars, alarms began to sound. Ancient monitoring systems put in place eons ago detected the activation signal from Sol system. The Galactic Council received the warnings with dread. The world vessels were awakening, and humans, a species barely known to the galactic community, had somehow activated them. The countdown had begun. The world watched in stunned silence as live feeds showed the moon's transformation. News channels played the same footage over and over, massive structures rising from the lunar surface, rearranging themselves like puzzle pieces, finding their proper places. The moon glowed with strange blue light that pulsed in steady rhythm. In the White House Situation Room, President Ellis stared at the screens with his advisors. No one spoke for several minutes. "So our moon is—" "What exactly?" the president finally asked. Gregory Hill, his science advisor, cleared his throat. "Based on the initial reports from the NASA team, it appears to be some kind of artificial structure, or rather, the moon itself has artificial components that were hidden beneath the surface." "Hidden by whom?" asked the Secretary of Defense. No one had an answer. At NASA headquarters, Commander Heather Winters took control of the crisis response. Phones rang constantly. Screens displayed data pouring in from observatories worldwide. Scientists argued loudly over each new piece of information. "Quiet," Heather shouted. The room fell silent. "We need order. Dr. Singh, what's the status of our communication with the lunar team?" Dr. Singh looked up from his computer. "We restored contact after a brief blackout. They're all safe. They've returned to their lander but are observing the transformation. Olivia Martinez is sending data packets every 15 minutes. And what about the energy readings?" "Off the charts," Dr. Singh replied. "Whatever's happening up there, it's drawing power from somewhere we can't identify." "The public is panicking," said the NASA communications director. "Social media is overloaded. Religious groups are calling it the end times." Heather nodded. "Tell the team to prepare for immediate evacuation." On the moon, Olivia, Peter, and Samantha watched the transformation from their lander window. The two pilots, Ryan and Jack, prepared for emergency departure. "We can't leave now," Olivia argued. "This is the most important scientific discovery in human history." Orders are orders, Ryan replied. Commander Winters wants you back on Earth. Peter pointed out the window. Look. A new structure was rising near their landing site. Unlike the others, this one seemed to be forming a path, a bridge of sorts, extending directly toward their lander. It's reaching out to us, Samantha whispered. Their communication system crackled. Through the static, they heard a strange tone, then what sounded like words in no language they recognized. It's trying to communicate, Olivia said. The bridge structure completed itself, ending just a few meters from their lander. A doorway opened at its end. We shouldn't, Jack said. We need to leave. Olivia looked at her companions. I'm going. To see. Who's with me? After heated argument, Olivia, Peter, and Samantha suited up again. They left the lander, promising the pilots they would stay connected by comm and return within 1 hour. The bridge surface felt solid beneath their boots. As they approached the doorway, lights activated along the path. They entered a corridor that led deeper into the new structure. It's like it was built for beings our size, Peter observed. The proportions are perfect for humans. They reached a circular room with a central platform similar to what they had seen before. This time, there were 5 hand-shaped depressions. 5 of us, Samantha noted. The pilots, too. Before they could discuss further, the room changed. The walls became transparent, showing them a view of Earth. Then the view zoomed out, showing the solar system, then further still showing the entire galaxy. Points of light began to appear, moving toward their position. Ships, Peter said. I think we're looking at ships coming toward Earth. When they returned to the lander and shared their discovery, the pilots were skeptical until their communication system suddenly activated on its own. A voice spoke in perfect English. Humans of Earth, this is Ambassador Trell of the Arsuri Confederation. We approach your system with peaceful intent. What you have awakened demands immediate discourse. The 5 humans stared at each other in shock. Did an alien just call us? Jack whispered. Back on Earth, similar messages were being received by every major government. The existence of alien life was no longer theoretical. They were coming, and they were coming fast. In the depths of space, Ambassador Trell prepared for the most important diplomatic mission of his career. The Arsuri ship accelerated toward the Sol system, its engines pushing to their limits. Are we certain about this approach? Asked his second-in-command. The Council advised containment, not contact. The Council is divided, Trell replied, and they act from fear. What the humans have awakened is beyond containment now. Our only hope is to help them understand before they accidentally destroy themselves. Or worse, before the Kresh decide to eliminate the problem by eliminating Earth. The world vessels were never meant to be weapons, his second said. No, but they were built with defenses that have destroyed civilizations before. If the humans trigger those defenses against the coming fleets. Trell left the thought unfinished. The Arsuri ship's view screen showed the Sol system growing closer. The moon glowed with energy that their instruments could barely measure. On Earth, panic turned to organized chaos. Governments worldwide declared states of emergency. Military forces went on high alert. Religious leaders called for calm, while privately wondering if their faiths had prepared them for this moment. Commander Winters coordinated with the White House as they prepared for first contact. The lunar team was ordered to remain on the moon, as Earth's forward representatives. We need to understand what we've awakened, Gregory Hill told the president. According to the aliens' messages, these structures are called world vessels. They're ancient technology with incredible power. Are they weapons? The president asked. Unknown, Gregory replied. But multiple alien species are concerned enough to rush to our system. In orbit around Earth, space telescopes detected the first alien ship entering the solar system. It slowed as it passed Neptune, clearly making an effort to appear non-threatening. Olivia and her team watched from their new vantage point inside the lunar structure, where they had set up a temporary base. The transparent walls showed them everything happening in nearby space. Look at Mars, Samantha said suddenly. The red planet was showing signs of the same transformation. Its surface shifted as structures began to emerge. The same was happening to Venus, and instruments showed activity on several of Jupiter's moons. "It's not just our moon," Peter said in awe. "The whole solar system is waking up." A new message came through their communication system. "Humans of Earth, we will arrive within your day. Please prepare your representatives for discussion of the gravest importance. The awakening of the world vessels affects all sentient life in the galaxy. What happens next will determine the fate of countless species." Olivia looked at her companions. "I think we just became the most important humans in history." Around them, the lunar structure continued to reconfigure itself, preparing for visitors from beyond the stars. The Arsuri ship entered Earth orbit 20 hours after first contact. It was smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop, and much smaller than humans had expected from an advanced alien race. Earth's major powers had agreed that the lunar team would make first contact, keeping the aliens away from Earth until their intentions were confirmed. Olivia, Peter, and Samantha waited in the large chamber that had formed itself into what they assumed was a meeting room. The structure had created furniture-like formations that seemed designed for both human and non-human anatomy. "I can't believe we're about to meet actual aliens," Peter whispered. "Focus on the science," Samantha replied, though her hands shook slightly. "We need to understand what these world vessels are." A section of wall dissolved, creating an opening. 3 beings entered. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but were clearly not human. Their skin was pale blue with faint patterns that seemed to shift like clouds. They had 4 arms and large black eyes that took up much of their face. They wore simple white clothing that seemed to flow around them. "Greetings," said the tallest one in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Trell of the Arsuri Confederation. These are my advisors, Mala and Kane." Olivia stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Olivia Martinez. These are my colleagues, Dr. Peter Daniels and Dr. Samantha Green. We represent Earth." Trell bowed slightly. "We have much to discuss and little time. More ships approach your system, not all with peaceful intent." The aliens sat across from the humans. Trell placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a 3-dimensional image of the galaxy. "What you have awakened are the world vessels, created by those we call the predecessors. They were a civilization so advanced that they transcended physical form billions of years ago. These vessels are their legacy." "What exactly are they for?" Samantha asked. "Creation and protection," Trell replied. "The predecessors reshaped worlds, moved stars, and seeded life throughout the galaxy. The vessels were their tools." "Why did they respond to us?" Peter asked. Trell's expression changed in a way the humans couldn't interpret. "That is what troubles the galaxy. For billions of years these vessels remained dormant. Many species discovered them, but none could activate them. Until you." "But why us?" Olivia pressed. Mala, the smaller alien, spoke. "We have a theory. May we scan you? It will not harm you." After some hesitation, the humans agreed. Mala used a handheld device that emitted a soft light over each human. "As we suspected," Mala said, looking at the results. "Your neural patterns contain sequences that match fragments found in the vessel's control systems." "Are you saying the predecessors put something in our brains?" Samantha asked, alarmed. "Not exactly," Kane explained. "We believe the predecessors encoded parts of their neural patterns into primitive life forms on Earth billions of years ago. As you evolved, these patterns remained, hidden in your DNA. The vessels recognize these patterns as authorization codes." "So we're the only ones who can control them," Peter said slowly. "Yes," Trell confirmed. "And that is why many species now fear you. Some are already calling for your extinction before you gain full control." On Earth, military leaders gathered at the Pentagon. Admiral Victor Sandoval reviewed the satellite data showing multiple objects approaching the solar system. "At current speeds, the first group will arrive in under 48 hours, an analyst reported. They're not responding to hails." "How many?" the Admiral asked. "At least 30 ships in the first wave, hundreds more behind them." The Admiral turned to the Joint Chiefs. "We have no weapons that could possibly defend against this level of technology. Our only hope is to understand what we've awakened and use it. In the lunar meeting room, Olivia and her team were shown historical records from the Arsuri database. They watched in horror as a recording showed a single partially activated world vessel, destroying an entire fleet of ships that had attacked it. This happened 3,000 years ago, Trell explained. The Maxari Empire found a dormant vessel and attempted to claim it. They managed to activate its defense systems but not control them. The vessel eliminated the threat, then returned to dormancy. "Why are you helping us?" Samantha asked. "If everyone else fears what these vessels can do, why not join them against us?" "Because we believe in balance," Trell replied. "The predecessors would not have left these vessels to awaken for no reason. If they encoded their patterns into your ancestors, they must have had a purpose." Back in the Lunar Control Center, Samantha made a breakthrough. She had been studying the control interfaces and realized something important. "These aren't primarily weapons," she told Olivia and Peter excitedly. "The defense systems are just a small part of their function. Look at these schematics." She pointed to patterns on the control surfaces. "These are stellar engineering tools. They're designed to move stars, reshape planets, create wormholes. They're not planet killers. They're planet builders." Peter looked closer. "So the predecessors were what? Cosmic gardeners?" "More like cosmic architects," Samantha replied. "And they left their tools for someone to find. For us to find." In deep space, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species argued bitterly about the human situation. "They must be eliminated immediately," insisted the Kresh representative, a tall reptilian being. "The world vessels are too powerful to be controlled by primitives who only achieved space travel a century ago." "We cannot condemn an entire species based on fear," countered the Telmaran. "Delegate, a small crystalline entity. The vessels responded to them for a reason." "The humans have made no aggressive moves," added another representative. "They did not even know the vessels existed until they accidentally activated them." The Kresh delegate stood. "The Kresh Imperium will not wait for these humans to gain control of weapons that could destroy us all. We withdraw from this council, and will take action ourselves." With that declaration, the council erupted into chaos. Admiral Sandoval received the report from the lunar team with interest. "So these vessels are terraforming tools with defense capabilities, not primarily weapons." "That's what the data suggests," replied the NASA liaison. "But the alien coalition approaching doesn't seem to care about the distinction." "How long until our team can figure out how to use those defense capabilities?" the Admiral asked. "Unknown. They're still learning the basics of the interface." In the Lunar Control Center, Olivia placed her hand on the central control panel. The system had become easier to use the more they interacted with it. Streams of data flowed into her mind directly. "Something's happening," she said. "I'm getting new information. The system is adapting to me." Peter and Samantha watched as the control room changed around them. New displays appeared showing the approaching alien fleet. "They're coming fast," Peter said. "The first ships will reach Mars orbit in hours." As if responding to their concern, a new display activated, showing Mars in detail. The red planet's transformation had accelerated. Massive structures now covered much of its surface. "I think," Olivia said slowly, "the vessels are preparing to defend themselves. To defend us." Across the solar system, the ancient technology continued to awaken. Beneath Earth's oceans, enormous structures began to rise. Venus glowed with new energy signatures. Even distant Pluto showed signs of activation. The galaxy watched and waited. Humanity stood on the edge of a new era, inheritors of power they didn't understand, facing a universe that feared what they might become. The first shots were fired near the orbit of Mars. A scout ship from the Kresh fleet launched what appeared to be a test missile toward the red planet. Before it traveled even half the distance, the surface of Mars split open. A beam of blue energy shot upward, intercepting the missile and dissolving it completely. The Kresh ship quickly retreated. On the moon, Olivia watched the encounter through the vessel's monitoring systems. The interface now connected directly to her mind, feeding her information faster than she could process it. Peter and Samantha worked with her, each connected to different aspects of the system. It didn't destroy the ship, Peter noted. It only stopped the attack. The defense systems are precise, Olivia replied. They respond with exactly enough force to neutralize threats, nothing more. Ambassador Trell and his team observed with concern. The Kresh will see this as confirmation of their fears. They will return with their full fleet. In Washington, Dr. Nathan Ford had been called in to advise the president. As one of Earth's leading quantum physicists, he had been studying the energy readings from the world vessels. Mr. President, these vessels operate on principles we've barely begun to theorize about, Nathan explained. They manipulate space-time itself. The predecessors weren't just advanced aliens. They had evolved beyond conventional physics. Can we control them? Asked the president. Our team on the moon is learning quickly, but it's like giving stone-age humans a nuclear submarine. We understand bits and pieces, but the full capabilities are beyond us. And if the aliens attack? Nathan hesitated. The vessels appear to have automated defense systems. They protected Mars without human input. But if we try to use them aggressively? He shook his head. We could trigger something we can't control. The Kresh fleet regrouped at the edge of the solar system. Supreme Commander Vex addressed his captains via holographic communication. The world vessels are indeed active, but their responses are measured. We will proceed with the main assault. 200 ships will target their moon base while another 100 engage their planetary defenses. The humans cannot possibly coordinate a response to such a massive attack. One captain spoke up. Supreme Commander, the Arsuri delegation has not returned. Should we wait for diplomatic efforts to fail before attacking? The Arsuri are weak, Vex replied. They believe in cooperation while we know the truth. Power must be controlled or destroyed. These humans, barely out of their atmospheric cradles, cannot be allowed to possess the greatest power in the galaxy. On the moon, Olivia, Peter, and Samantha continued their rapid education. The world vessel systems taught them through direct, neural interface, showing them the history of the predecessors in bursts of information. They weren't building weapons, Samantha said in awe. They were building arcs. Arcs? Peter asked. The entire purpose of the world vessels is protection, she explained. The predecessors discovered something. A cycle of radiation from the galactic core that occurs every few billion years. It wipes out most life in the galaxy when it happens. When is the next cycle due? Trell asked, suddenly alert. Olivia. Access the information. According to these calculations, soon, within the next century. That explains the timing, Mala said. The vessels didn't awaken by accident. They were programmed to activate when humans reached a certain technological threshold, close to when they would be needed. Why didn't the predecessors just tell everyone? Peter asked. Why all this secrecy? The historical records suggest they tried, Olivia replied, still connected to the data stream. Previous civilizations either didn't believe them or tried to use the vessels for conquest. So they encoded their legacy into a species that didn't exist yet, into what would become humans. On Earth, Admiral Sandoval received new intelligence. The alien fleet is moving. All 300 ships. They'll reach our solar system in less than 12 hours. He turned to his staff. Ready all defenses for whatever good they'll do, and get me the lunar team. When connected to the lunar team, the Admiral wasted no time. Dr. Martinez, we have 300 alien warships heading our way. Please tell me you've figured out how to use those defense systems. Olivia looked troubled. Admiral, we have, but there's something you need to understand. The world vessels weren't built for war. They were built to save life, not destroy it. That's admirable, Doctor, but right now we need to save human life. I know. But if we use these vessels as weapons, we become what they fear. There might be another way. The Admiral frowned. What other way could possibly stop 300 advanced warships? Communication, Olivia said. The vessels contain the complete history of the predecessors and their purpose. We can broadcast that information to the entire fleet simultaneously. And, you think they'll just turn around because we ask nicely? No, but they might if they understand what's really at stake, the survival of all life in the galaxy. The Admiral looked skeptical but nodded. You have 6 hours to try your way. After that, we defend ourselves by any means necessary. The United Earth governments issued a message to all human citizens. The existence of alien life was confirmed. The nature of the world vessels was explained in simple terms. The approaching threat was acknowledged. But rather than panic, the message called for calm and unity. We stand at a crossroads, the broadcast concluded. Our species has been given an unexpected responsibility. How we respond in these next hours will define humanity's place in the universe for all time. Across Earth, people gathered in homes, in public squares, in places of worship. They watched the skies, knowing alien ships approached with hostile intent. Yet alongside the fear came something unexpected, a sense of purpose. If humans were chosen to inherit these ancient vessels, perhaps they had been chosen for a reason. In the Lunar Control Center, Olivia worked with the Arsuri to prepare their message. The world vessel's communication systems could reach every ship in the approaching fleet simultaneously. What if this doesn't work? Peter asked quietly. Then we use the defenses, Olivia replied, but only to protect, not to destroy. As the Kresh fleet entered the outer solar system, they detected something unexpected. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune had all begun to glow with the same energy signatures as Mars and the Moon. The world vessels weren't just a few planets, they were everywhere. Supreme Commander, one of the Kresh captains reported, we're detecting activation signals from throughout this system. Every major planetary body appears to be part of the vessel network. Vex hesitated for the first time. The tactical situation had changed. Instead of facing 1 or 2 active vessels, they were flying into a system where every planet was potentially a weapon. Proceed as planned, he ordered finally. We cannot allow fear to deter us. As the fleet approached Mars orbit, Olivia activated the communication system. Broadcasting now, she said. Throughout the Kresh fleet, control systems suddenly activated on their own. On every ship, displays showed the same message in the Kresh language. The truth about the world vessels. The galaxy's survival depends on what happens next. And then the complete history of the predecessors began to download directly into the minds of every being in the fleet. Supreme Commander Vex stumbled backward as the information flooded his mind. Images, data, emotions, the entire history of the predecessors downloaded directly into his consciousness. Around him, the bridge crew of his flagship reacted similarly, some falling to their knees, others staring blankly as they processed the overwhelming information. The truth was undeniable. The world vessels had never been weapons of conquest. They were shields, designed to protect all life in the galaxy from the coming radiation wave, a wave that had wiped out countless civilizations in cycles spanning billions of years. Hold position, Vex ordered, his voice hoarse. All ships, hold position. Across the Kresh fleet, captains gave similar orders. The planned attack faltered as the truth spread from ship to ship. On Earth, military commanders watched in confusion as the alien fleet suddenly stopped its advance. What just happened? Admiral Sandoval asked. They received the transmission, a communications officer replied. All 300 ships have stopped moving. In the Lunar Control Center, Olivia monitored the situation through the vessel's systems. It's working. They're processing the information. Will they believe it? Peter asked. They have no choice, Trell explained. The vessels transmitted the data directly into their neural pathways. It bypasses skepticism. They are experiencing the predecessors' memories as if they were their own. A communication came through from the Kresh flagship. Supreme Commander Vex appeared on the screen, his reptilian features showing signs of stress. Human representatives, he said formally. We request a dialogue. The situation appears more complex than we understood. Olivia stepped forward. We welcome dialogue, Commander. We only recently learned the truth ourselves. A delegation will shuttle to your lunar base, Vex said. We have much to discuss. Within hours, representatives from dozens of alien species, gathered in the largest chamber of the lunar base. The Kresh, the Arsuri, the Telmarans, and many others sat together with the human team. Earth's leaders joined via secure video link. Olivia stood before them. The world vessels have shown us what comes next. In less than 100 years, a wave of radiation from the galactic core will sweep through our galaxy. Without protection, countless worlds will die. The predecessors built these vessels to save us all. Why entrust this power to humans alone? Asked a Kresh representative. They didn't, Samantha explained. They designed the vessels to respond to us initially, but the control systems are adaptable. They can be shared. To demonstrate, she invited representatives from each species to place their hands on a newly formed control panel. One by one, they connected to the system. Their expressions changed as they understood. The vessels will accept all of us, a Telmaran said in wonder. The predecessors intended a shared guardianship. Over the next week, ships from across the galaxy arrived in the Sol system, not to fight but to witness and participate. The world vessels continued their transformation, revealing more of their true capabilities. On Earth, people watched the skies change. Venus, once a toxic furnace, began to cool as the vessel systems restructured its atmosphere. Mars glowed with new energy as dormant systems awakened fully. Dr. Nathan Ford worked with scientists from a dozen alien species to understand the physics involved. The vessels don't just move planets, he explained to the president. They can move star systems. They can create protective bubbles around entire regions of space. And the radiation wave? The president asked. It's real. The vessel data confirms it, but with this technology we can survive it, all of us. In the Lunar Control Center, now expanded into a massive complex, Olivia coordinated the first joint operation. Human, Kresh, Arsuri, and Telmaran operators worked side by side. Initiating primary activation sequence, she announced. Throughout the solar system, the world vessels responded. Mercury, Venus, Mars, and several of Jupiter's moons began to glow more intensely. Their orbits shifted slightly, aligning in a precise pattern. The network is forming, Peter said, watching the displays, just as the simulations predicted. On the observation deck, dignitaries from Earth and 100 alien worlds watched in awe as Mercury broke free from its orbit. The small planet, now encased in a shimmering field of energy, moved out of its normal path around the sun. The first vessel is ready, Samantha announced. It will establish the outer perimeter of the shield network. As Mercury moved away, Venus followed. The once hellish world had been transformed into a massive engine of creation. Its surface features had rearranged into vast energy collection systems and computational arrays. Ambassador Trell stood beside President Ellis as they watched. In all our histories, Trell said quietly, no species ever imagined this level of cooperation. We spent millennia fearing these vessels, never understanding their true purpose. We still have much to learn, the president replied, but we'll learn it together. The Galactic Council, once divided, had reformed with Earth as a full member. Plans were already being made for joint crews to staff each vessel as they moved into position throughout the galaxy. The shield network would take decades to complete, but the work had begun. Olivia found a quiet moment alone on the observation deck. Below her, Earth glowed blue and green. Above, the transformed moon served as the command center for the greatest cooperative effort in galactic history. And in the distance, Mercury and Venus were already becoming small points of light as they moved toward their new positions. A century ago, humans had only dreamed of reaching the moon. Now they stood as equal partners with 100 alien species preparing to save the galaxy. Dr. Martinez, a voice called. It was Peter. They're ready for the next phase. Olivia nodded and took one last look at Earth. The predecessors had encoded their legacy into humanity's ancestors billions of years ago, trusting that when the time came, humans would make the right choice. Not to use power for conquest, but for protection. Not to destroy, but to create. Not to stand alone, but to unite the galaxy in common purpose. As she turned to follow Peter, the first joint fleet of human and alien ships launched from Earth orbit. They would accompany the world vessels, learning their systems, preparing for the great work ahead. The galaxy had watched in fear as humanity awoke the ancient planet ships. Now it watched in hope as those same vessels began their journey to ensure life would continue for billions of years to come. Humanity had awakened, the world vessels, and the galaxy no longer watched in fear but in partnership.